Thought I would just do an end of year video update on the studio. So let's just work through it quickly. Still using the old Mac, still hanging in there, bless its heart. So I think new to the setup is the Electron Digitone. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It does some really nice sounds. Cool, easy to sort of sound design on it. The Digitact, which I'm now starting to get more and more in love with, using it more and more. So it's starting to become a mainstay. We got the 303 clone, which is just good old acid lines. Mother 32 still sits in my studio at this moment, but I got a love-hate with this one. It's sort of, did I spend a lot of money on something that doesn't make an incredibly interesting or exciting sound? It's just a really simple mono synth. So I still get some interesting bits out of it, but I just can't make my mind up on whether it's a love-hate, this one. The Micromodular Nord, brilliant machine. Had it for many years, but it's the user content that's online is just colossal for this, and it's software that lives on the computer. If you don't know, it's software that lives on the computer. Then you create your patch, which is a bit like using Reactor, and then you download it to this machine, and it's stored in the factory bank. So you have your own personal unique patches, which can be effects, voice control, it could be synthesis, it could be drum machine. You store it into this, and then you've just got this hardware synth that you can walk around with your sounds in it. And yeah, the FM, it's the FM that I love, really Autechre sort of sound. But well, they caned these machines. But yes, it's for something that's so sort of 90s. It's really cool, but it's got a kind of weak signal, so I always hook it up with this little preamp, which a little tech tip. These are cheap as chips. You can get these for about 20 quid on eBay. But you switch out the valve. The original valve, the Behringer valve in there is really not the best. So switch it out for something from like a nice quality guitar amp, or even some ancient sort of 1960s TV valve that's available on eBay. It just improves and makes these things really quite a sort of unique little, I don't know, special little thing you can make with your own unique valve preamp. So yeah, and it boosts the signals for like this particularly, just gives it a bit more crunch. Salisbury, weird little Arduino type synth. So I got it on strings at the minute. I've been using that on some tracks recently, but what you can do is upload different synths to it. So it's got like string, so it's got a whole load of different overlays that are different synths that this can be. So it can be a drum machine, it can be all sorts of various different synthesis engines in it, and you just upload them and you use it as the overlay says. It's weird, it's really weird, but that suits me perfectly. It's not going to be like the best synth you're ever going to own that can do multiple things. It's like just a nice little add-on, and it does weird things. It's very 8-bit, but pretty cool. Still got the old Electron Mono machine, which I think is still better. If I have to choose between two, I'd still have that over the Digitone, even though they're both FM, they're both trying to do a similar sort of thing. I think this just bigger, smarter, stronger, and has more oomph to it. A little row of guitar pedals which I've been using. The metal muff goes amazingly with the 303. Let's see, that's those, and then not in the studio at the moment, only because it would just be waiting for me to switch out. The Medusa, which is a very powerful synth, and weird as hell, but again, weird is good for me. Spring reverb tank, which you can rip out of a guitar amp and send signal through. Weird guitar pedal, I'm not sure I like it, but it's sort of like a filtery kind of wah. The field kits, these are, one's an effects one and one's sort of making kind of weird experimental sound stuff. They're cool, but they're noisy, so they don't get used very much. But sound design, just sit there and make stuff with them. Pedals, I'm not using circuit bent calculator, which is just rubbish and weird, but it's, I don't know, it squeaks and crunches. It's a drum machine basically. Good old Zoom sampler, which is just my old faithful good chunky sampler. The mono machine, good perfect drum machine, needs a repair, I need to fix that. The Octatrack, which is still very, very cool, but takes a bit of setting up for the studio, so I need to make it a part of it rather than just a periphery kind of sampler. That samples quicker, faster, easier to use if you just want to sample. The LXR is this weird drum machine that just doesn't obey any rule. Perfect for me, but probably not for people that are into drum machines. It looks like an Electron product. It's far from it. It's only like an Arduino inside. It's very light, even though it's got this nice metal case. It's bizarre and almost brilliant and just underrated. Yeah, the Korg MS2000 digital analog modelling, but pretty unique for its time, and still really quick to get to a sound that you really want to get to. And then we've got the Novation Circuit, which are cheap as chips, really powerful. You can use software to program the synthesizers in it. It also has samples, so it's a drum machine here, 2 channels of drum machine, or 4 channels of drum machine, 2 synths, but the drum machine is all samples, so you just load your own samples to it, so it doesn't have to be drum machine. Then you have the 2 synths, which are totally programmable inside of the software. They're a bit complex, but there's lots of sample packs and sound packs from. It's pretty cool for just a very cheap and just cheap piece of equipment that is readily available to anyone. It's pretty powerful. The sequencers are really good. It can control other stuff. It takes batteries. It's really cool as a little travel companion for jamming on. It's a good, get some ideas together very quickly. Parameters are pretty advanced for the synthesis. You can basically program each one as you like. So really clever little synth for really not much money. So yeah, that's what's in the studio at the minute. It's not being used, so I'll be putting out a DJ mix that I've done over this Christmas period, just of a load of unreleased tracks that I can wind up the year with, and then move on to make some new stuff in the new year. So Happy New Year to everyone.